My name is Michael, and I recently got married to this beautiful girl named Jane. We were a happy couple, and I was blessed to have her as my wife. We lived in Michigan, United States, and I used to work in an IT department as I was an IT professional. It was December, and the Christmas was getting close. My wife told me that she wanted us to go to a beautiful mountain lounge and spend our Christmas there, and I was totally fine with that. I wasn't going to get many holidays for the Christmas this time because of loads of work. So the very next day at work, I went to my boss and asked him if I could take off a couple of days before Christmas, and he agreed. But he gave me a certain target which I had to achieve before taking holidays, and it was very hard and loads of work. I had decided that I would work day and night so I can get this work done and enjoy the Christmas with my wife at a beautiful place. It was around 9 p.m. and I was still at work when my wife called me to ask why I wasn't home yet. I told her about the work and that I'd have to work day and nights. She got sad, but I told her that it's just a couple of days and then we'll have a great time together. I was having a very hard time, but I had to do it. In these days, I only used to go home and sleep for a bit and then back to work again. It was very hard and stressful for me, but I still had to do it. A few days back, and I was just done with all the work, and it was time to go home and enjoy the Christmas. It was late at night. While I was going towards my car in the parking lot, I heard constant footsteps behind me for a couple of seconds. Then I stopped and turned around. There was no one there. Through a distance, I thought that I could see someone's shadow, so I was concentrating on that when all of a sudden, my car's alarm went off. I turned around towards my car and got inside. I started the engine and took off. While going back, I noticed a piece of paper on the passenger seat I picked up, and it said, "I will ruin your life." I just threw it out of the window and went back home. My wife was still up and had prepared dinner for me. I had my dinner and we both talked for a while and had decided where we wanted to go. The very next day, in the morning, we left for the mountain lounge. It was 5 hours away and in a remote place. When we reached there, it was so much better than we expected. I wasn't a fan of staying at remote places, but my wife liked it and was happy. That's all matters to me. At night, we were having dinner and I noticed a shadow of a man behind my wife through a distance which seemed similar to me. I ignored it and continued on the dinner. After we were done eating, I looked in the same direction again and the shadow was still there. As soon as I turned my head towards it, it started to walk towards us, and all of a sudden, the lights went out and it was pitch dark. I got scared, grabbed my wife's hand and started making our way to our room. When we had reached the reception, the lights came back on. I looked back and there was no one there. I quickly took my wife to our room. When we had reached the room, I noticed a note on the table which said, "I will ruin your life." And the writing was as same as the note I found in my car. I thought it was some kind of prank, so I didn't take it seriously and threw it away. Around 1 a.m., I woke up due to knocking on the door. I got out of bed and went to the door. I asked, "Who's there?" But no one responded. I asked that again, but still no response. I opened the door and was looking around. All of a sudden, I heard my wife screaming, so I ran to her. When I got to her, I observed that our bedroom's window was fully open and my wife was scared to death. I held her and asked her, "What happened?" Then she replied, "There was someone standing right next to me when I opened my eyes, and he grabbed my wrist tight and left it when I screamed. He jumped out of the window." I looked at her wrist and it was all red. I hugged her and calmed her down. The very next morning, when we went to get to breakfast, I complained to the reception and they said that they look up to it and take care of it. Also, that we don't need to worry about it. After we were done with the breakfast, I paid the bill and the waiter told us to wait. He was going to get our change. When he had brought back our change, I took it and a $1 bill fell down. I leaned down to pick it up, and along with the bill, there was a piece of paper. I picked it up and it said, "I will ruin your life." I was getting annoyed by it now, so I just tore it and threw it away. We had a wonderful evening and we both enjoyed a lot. The hotel had arranged something special for all the guests who were staying there. It was amazing. I and my wife enjoyed it a lot. We even got to know some of the other people who were staying at the hotel and hung out together the whole evening. Everyone had an amazing time and thought that coming to this place for spending Christmas holidays was totally worth it. It was the best Christmas of our lives. At night, I and my wife were out in the open enjoying the view. I told my wife to wait and that I'll get drinks for us. I went to order drinks, and while I was bringing them back, I heard my wife scream and then a gunshot. I threw the drinks away and started running back to Jane. She was lying on the floor bleeding. I held her and screamed her name, "Jane!" Everyone started to gather around and the ambulance arrived after a couple of minutes and I took her to the hospital. She was killed. I went back to the lounge to pack our stuff and take my wife back to the funeral and all. While I was packing, I noticed a note on the bed. I picked it up and it said, "Did I ruin your life?" I screamed out loud, crying, "Who are you?"